Hey everyone, welcome to Back to the Future, Why the Timeline Doesn't Make Sense Past the First Movie, Special Edition Cardboard Box, or Comic Chat with Gat, however you want to imagine this. It's a movie, maybe it's real retro? I don't know, let's get into it. So, I'm here to explain to you why the first movie is perfect, and post the end of the second movie, going on to the third movie, the timeline that they, or at least the time travel that they established in the first movie, falls apart. So, let's start. In the first movie, Red will have be Marty. Marty, sorry, travels from 1985 to 1955, changes the time, comes right back to 1985. Perfect circle, except when he goes back there, he changes a few things, so things are better in 1985. Great. Wonderful. Okay. But in the second movie, Doc, we'll make him blue, travels, with the end of the first movie, Doc travels from 1985 to the future. He comes back, says, Marty, it's all about your kids, Marty. He takes Marty back to the future, right, into 2015. While there, Biff steals the time machine. Biff will be green. Goes back to 1955. And Doc and Marty get back into their time machine. Oh, something is. Biff goes back. Bam! And you're like, that seems okay. But when Doc and Marty go back to 1955, they actually go back to the alternate timeline. So I'd say probably about here to alternate 1985. So when they go back, they instead go here and here. And they're like, what? What happened? We're in Back to the Future 2 still. This is weird. There's evil Biff. Biff killed George McFly. He's married to Marty's mom. And they're like, well, we got to fix this. How do we fix this? Well, we've got to go back to the past. So they then take the time machine and they go back to 1955. Both of them back to 1955. Everything here is still making sense. You're like, okay, well, they created an alternate timeline, and kind of you can consider the new 1985 from the first one an alternate timeline, but we'll just consider that being such a small amount of things ever changed that we're not going to worry about that. So they're now back in 1955. While in 1955, they fix the timeline, they steal the almanac from Biff, and restore everything back to normal going forward. So they fix this, we'll erase it, never happened. Whee! Woohoo! So Doc and Marty are still back in 1955, but there's the lightning storms going on. Marty's trying to get in the time machine, and right at the last second, it gets zapped, and Doc disappears. Back to 1885. We don't know that yet, of course, in the movies, but that's where he goes, because at the end he's like, oh my gosh, the Doc is alive. Doc is alive, because he gets the note from the courier guy that's waiting there forever. The Doc is alive. Meanwhile, Marty's stuck there and goes to find young Doc. Now, this is where it gets important. So when they were back in 1955, there were two Martys and two Docs. There was old Doc, right, who came back from the future. I guess we'll redraw this line, because now that was fixed. And older Marty, who's still trying to be with the Marty that happened in the first movie. So while they're there, if you remember in the first movie, anything that happened to Doc in 1955, he remembers 1955 because he gets the letter from Marty and wears the bulletproof vest. And so because he does that, he lives. And so that means that anything that happens to a younger version of Doc, no matter how old he is, he would remember. That's the timeline they established in the first movie. And that's why this is important, because in Back to the Future 3, when Marty's like, I'm back, Doc, I'm back from the future. And Doc's like, oh my gosh, the time machine's gone and whatever, we get to fix this. They see Doc's grave. So, rip Doc, R.I.P. Doc Brown. In 1955. So if young Doc, right, who is still in 1955, because old Doc traveled back to 1885, saw his grave that had a date on it from the 1800s. The fact that Marty has to go back to 1885 to stop Doc from dying doesn't make any sense, because this is old Doc and older Marty, and old Doc would then know that when he was younger, he saw himself die, or at least he saw his grave, and know that he was supposed to die in a couple of days. He wouldn't need Marty to tell him. So that's why Back to the Future timeline doesn't make sense past 1. hope you enjoyed this video.
Hey you! Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Okay, see you later.